I think the first probably 15 to 16 years of my pain practice, things were pretty smooth sailing. Reimbursement was still very good. It was a procedure-based practice. The overhead was relatively low compared to internal medicine or other primary care practices. And so really over about the last 4 years, I could see a dramatic change in attitude of the insurance companies, change in reimbursement, change in our overhead, change in our percent revenue as compared to overhead. And I think that has accelerated in the last 3 to 4 years.
The greatest challenge that most physicians face today is the fact that we are in an era where reimbursements are continuing to decrease at the rate of approximately 10% per year, while the cost of running a practice is going up at the rate of 10% per year. If you do the math, within 5 years, it is mathematically impossible to work for anything other than free, or work as an employee of some type of corporate entity or healthcare system.
A friend of mine told me 3 or 4 years ago that reimbursement was going to go down by about 10% a year, and overhead was going to go up at about 10% per year, and that I should be following those trends. So I started to do that. I started to look at the numbers of our practice, and I compared over the last 2 to 3 years. This was about in 2010, after the two or three years, and in fact I found out that that was exactly what was happening with my practice. Reimbursement was declining and overhead was moving up. Well, that's a 20% net per year. Now maybe 18% or 17%, but it's definitely over 15%. Ours was right around 18% at change. So it doesn't take too much math to know that those lines are going to cross at some point.
If reimbursements are declining and our costs are rising, what are we going to do? Analytics are a way to better understand what's moving around us. It's the practice intelligence of understanding what's happening inside and outside of our practice. It's a way to know before the fact rather than after the fact how it's all going to turn out. Analytics are knowing what we don't know, understanding what we don't understand, and knowing how it's going to turn out.
Unfortunately, each physician is running a complex small business without any training in business, finance, or law. And even if you had a Harvard MBA, I don't care who you are, it is almost impossible, if not impossible, to create a self-sustaining business that cash flows when your overhead continues to increase as reimbursements decrease.
If you decide that you're just going to work more hours, work Saturdays, cut your staff down, do more injections, etc. In other words, try to outrace this snowball with volume, then it's a good idea, but it's not going to work. And so what I decided to do was add ancillary services to our practice. In 2010, we added pharmacy. In 2011, we added analytical lab, screening lab. In 2012, we decided that we were going to put a mass spec in our laboratory and do confirmatory urine analysis. We weren't going to send them off to companies anymore. We were going to keep the money in-house.
Well, pharmacy as part of our practice makes a lot of sense. It's a revenue generator. In this age of declining reimbursement and increasing costs for medical practices, we have to find different ways to generate revenue, and this is a way that fits very well and naturally with our practice.
Because of the way our healthcare system is designed, physicians are compensated on quantity as opposed to quality of healthcare. One of the biggest problems faced by doctors, because they are such poor business managers, is they end up working harder rather than working smarter. When the question is posed to me about whether or not it's possible to make money, the answer is yes, it is possible, but you need to be smart in not only how you manage your office practice, but if you create any ancillary services, you need to understand the ramifications of the law and the very narrow paths that you need to follow in order to legally comply with the law to enable you to own those ancillary services. And yes, they can become profitable, but at the end of the day, your focus must be on delivering good quality care.
Take a look at your practice now, look at the numbers, and see if it is possible for you to set up a pharmacy. And you should probably contact a knowledgeable company to help start it up for you. The company we used was Advanced Pharmacy Solutions, which is a team of doctors and pharmacists that are very familiar with this. They successfully set up our pharmacy, Shavano Oaks Pharmacy, and it became profitable within a year. Later on, they implemented the compounded medications, which really increased profits. The biggest thing they probably offer is ongoing management and helping with dealing with any potential audits or inspections to make sure that you're compliant. It's also very affordable.
We began tracking practice revenue, which is what we get from seeing patients, and ancillary practice revenue, which is what we get from our ancillaries. In February of 2012, our ancillary services provided 60% of our overall revenue. If you take overall profit instead of just overall revenue, it's much more than that. I can't imagine if I had not added ancillary services in, I would be making about 43% of what I'm making right now. So it's like that old saying in the movie with Warren Beatty, Heaven Can Wait. We don't care what it costs, we just care what we make. And that's the attitude you should develop. Because if you aren't afraid of 2014 to 2016, then you're already dead.